Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of On the Wrong Lead Live. We're changing it up a little bit today. You know, we tend to be a little bit like ESPN. You know, we're a little East Coast bias over here. We're going to the West Coast tonight. We're gonna head over to Del Mar, cover the late pick 5 over there. But we'd be remiss if we did not cover two very, very big stakes races happening at Saratoga. So, as usual, we will be covering the two stakes in the Lake George and the Jim Dandy as well. But let's get the guys introduced here. As usual, the guy who probably hasn't missed a show in, I don't know, Mark. Like, have you missed a show?
Oh, I definitely missed a show. I overslept one. I didn't show up till like 20 minutes late. And then the last time I missed a show, I don't know.
I mean, I think you even did one when you were like in
or something.
Yeah, I think you might have even done it when you were in St. Martin.
I did at one point. I occasionally I miss shows on occasion. I swear I have a social life. Really, I do.
Well, and a man who's breaking a streak by making 2 shows in a row, Caleb Knight. Caleb, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Oh, not too much. It's finally, like we were talking about earlier, finally getting over that cold. So that's a good thing. But yeah, just I think it was Nick Severs or last week who was talking about how he'd believe it when he saw it when we covered Del Mar. But here we go, baby. We're ready.
Yeah, I've been dabbling a little bit in Del Mar. I always dabble. I like the big base bets. I like the late double. I like the late pick 3. I honestly think that the $3 pick 3 is one of the just best bets in racing. Whether it's a turf pick 3 or it's the late pick 3 that they're doing at Del Mar and Santa Anita, like just that large base. I mean, I feel like with the pick 5, and I was talking about this with Matt on our the Get Out show last week. Like a pick 5, right? Like, and Caleb, I know you play some ABC, but you're not afraid to put a caveman ticket in every once in a while when you want some action, right? But I feel like you get like a $48, $54 ticket with a pick 5, and even like getting there. Like sometimes you feel like I could use a little bit more coverage with like a caveman ticket, but like the pick 3 at a $3 base, $27, $36, about half the price of that, and usually you're feeling all right, and sometimes it pays just as good as some of these chalky pick 5s that we've been seeing at some of these tracks.
Yeah, no, I think it's an awesome bet. I totally agree. I'm at the point now where, I'm trying to be a little more selective, but if I do play a pick 5 and then I miss leg 1, a lot of the times I won't run back the pick 4 because I would just rather play the $3 pick 3 or some of these higher base bets that are a little bit later. Because, I mean, the pick 4 to me just kind of feels like a 50-cent pick 4, especially if you get 1 or 2 favorites in there. It kind of strains you with just a very unattractive wager to me. So oftentimes I'll skip that entirely and just play that $3 pick 3, and whether it's Keeneland and the turf or the last 3 at Del Mar or anything in between, it's consistently a really good bet.
Mark, I know you love the turf pick 3s whenever those are available.
Yeah, I do. I mean, they're a good wager. They seem to pay really well. I think also they force you as a player to have an opinion. You can't just kind of spray and pray. I mean, you can. You just need to have a stupid budget to do it. They do really force you to have an opinion, and I think that's always a good thing, right? Like that's what we always tell people to do. So, they're a good wager. That they pay well, and sometimes you get boomed by Mike Smith and turf. So
Well, I rarely get boomed by Mike Smith on turf because generally when Mike Smith's on turf, I'm on him. So Penn State
Or to
Scott
make
though
runs.
already he's already talking about he's on the 1792 cognac finish tonight, which I've never seen before.
I'm a
But
big 1792 guy. I like their foolproof a lot, but I've never seen the cognac finish. So sounds like a good bottle.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Caleb. 1792 foolproof seems to be showing up a lot more. I've been able to. I've seen it on the shelf multiple times now in the last couple months. Right around $50.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best bottles you can buy for under like $70. Honestly, I think it's a great bottle. Like just today, I went to my local place and they had a standard bottle of Eagle Rare for 70. For a standard 10-year Eagle Rare, or 1792 foolproof. And I mean, there's no decision there.
Now, are you sure it wasn't the new 12-year Eagle Rare?
I am sure, but
Okay.
not for $70.
It's the same. It's the same bottle. It just says 12 years instead of 10 years. I'm pretty sure. So,
Yeah.
Mark, I know you were at the store today. Did you pick anything up?
Just drinking some tequila at the moment. I was in the mood to try something different, and so I ended up getting the however you say the horrid whatever, however their name is pronounced, the reposada.
The Herradura?
Yeah, there we go. That's how you
Yeah.
say it.
What do you think?
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah,
a
it's
pour.
fine.
Yeah, just want to. It's fine. It's not blow you away. But it's a nice pour.
They do single barrel expressions. So I actually have a single barrel, double barreled Reposado tequila by Herradura, and it's good. They claim it's additive free. However, there is I don't know if there's any proof that it is additive free at this point. So your mileage may vary. I've heard to the contrary, but maybe this expression was. I don't know. But I went with the classic, the E.H. Taylor small batch here.
How do you still have any of that left?
I was gonna ask the same question.
Like how? You've had that bottle for like a year, or maybe more.
Maybe more. I don't remember if did I get it for my birthday this. No, I got it for my birthday last year, I think.
Is that the one I shipped you?
No, my brother gave it to
Okay.
me. He had a buddy who was into bourbon, and turns out that the guy's brother works at a liquor store, and so like would just like would set aside all the Buffalo Trace stuff at MSRP for him. So because it's like a big box retailer, they always sell everything at MSRP or maybe like $5 more expensive, like to the point where because I think Eagle Rare is like 45 or 50 there, so like it's pretty normal. But yeah, I still have this. I still have now. What's more impressive is that I still have that bottle of Eagle Rare that I got shipped out from California by Dave. So I still have that bottle from when I hit the group ticket for BC with no balls in the turf pick four. Well, that had to have been 2 years ago at this point. So
over 2 years ago, 2.5.
yeah, so I still got that bottle. I have a bunch of Buffalo Trace. I'm flush with Buffalo Trace and Blanton's right now because of my trip to Louisville earlier. But yeah, I haven't been drinking as much bourbon lately. I've been doing more beer, more wine, and just trying to drink less because we were talking earlier about all my ailments, including real bad heartburn I've been having here lately. But looks like it's under $50.
Hop on stream and it's like a bunch of 80-year-olds talking about all their ailments. Like,
Dude, it's rough, man.
I got gout and heartburn and indigestion and came down with the plague and God, just just the worst.
Dude, I'll tell a real quick story before we get started. But Penn State Scott saying 95 proof, not as satisfying as a 125 pool. But I do like a lot of those. Like wine and other cask finished bourbons and scotches especially. I'm a big fan of sherried scotch. So yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, no, the other day I started playing on a new volleyball team, and one of the girls on a team. She's new to our team. I guess she like had posted that she wanted to play, and um, uh, so she is new to our team, and she was just like asking like, "Oh, how old is everybody?" And she's like, I don't know, she's like 24 or something. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be 40 next year." She's like, "What?" She's like, "You look like you're like maybe 30." And then I was like, "Oh, really?" And my teammate, she's like, "Girl, do you not see the gray hairs on his head? He does not look 30." She's like, "Yep,
Brutal.
yeah, gotta knock me down a peg there." But yeah, well, why don't we get started? Start looking at some of this stuff here. We'll go ahead and get started with Saratoga, and we'll start with the Lake George. We got a full field of 10 here. We got one AE. Your morning line favorite is the 5 Classic Q at 2-1. You get 4-1 on Play with Fire, and 5-2 on Lavender Disaster. And then you're getting long prices on everybody else. Mark, this is your home turf, literally. So how did you kind of see this race?
Yeah, this is a division that I tend to really enjoy, and I tend to enjoy this sort of, mile and 16th, mile and eighth, these up and coming 3-year-old fillies. These fields tend to be big. You get a lot of new players, a lot of fresh faces. It tends to be a fun division to follow. And it oftentimes in previous years, the Lake George has come up to be a very, very, very tough race. You've seen a lot of big names that have come through and gone on to do great things in like the Breeders' Cup and those types of races later in the year. Albeit this rendition of this race is not what I really would think of as being the strongest rendition of this race. I really think this is a 2-horse race, and I think Aragona has it right on the top two. We've seen speed on turf at Saratoga be very, very good. This is on the inner, where speed is even better, and I think somebody like Classic Q is going to take these a really long way on the front end. And if she brings her A game or maybe even her B game, she probably wears this field. And the only other horse that I thought was a little bit interesting is Lavender Disaster. But, I think Classic Q, answered that question last time out. Maybe does Lavender Disaster take a step forward, stretching back out a tiny bit? She did break her maiden going this trip. So, maybe she takes that step forward. But beyond that, I just felt like there was a pretty big drop off between the top two and everybody else. And I didn't see a lot of those horses who oftentimes in this sort of a division, you get those up and coming new fresh faces, and they're shipping in from out of town and you're going to see, geez, do they fit and can they take that step forward? And I just really didn't see that here. So, as much as I hate to say it in a big competitive field, I do think this is a bit of a chalky rendition of this race.
Caleb.
Yeah, so I don't like Mark's horses. This comes as a shock to everybody. And I guess Classic Q can win this race. My whole take about that common wild applause where a few horses are exiting was that 4th of July weekend, the speed on the inner was almost unbeatable. You didn't see a single horse close essentially the entire weekend on the inner turf during that stretch. So I'm kind of downgrading the performance I saw from Classic Q that day. She had, she was with a bias. She was out there by herself, and she was still kind of, getting short there towards the end. She now has to see out an extra 16th of a mile, and I don't know if she'll get more pace pressure from maybe like the 9. There's not a ton of speed in here, but nevertheless, I mean, to me, I respect her, but she just kind of feels like a horse you're supposed to maybe take a shot against, given the way that she won that last race and some things that she had working in her favor. Lavender Disaster, I don't like at all. I thought she had no excuse last out, where she had a perfect trip, couldn't get by the 5, and actually got passed by her stablemate. So if I was taking anybody out of the wild applause, it would certainly be the number 10, Play with Fire. Again, this was a day when it really was good to be forward on the inner turf, and Play with Fire, got a very peculiar ride from Pratt, perhaps, where she was 8 or 9 lengths off the pace, and she was flying late. And I'll admit, I did not like her in this spot. I thought she was kind of dressed up, coming out of some weaker races, but she ran probably the best race that day, given the way that there wasn't a whole lot of passing going on. She made up 8 lengths and was a few jumps away from actually passing Classic Q. So for me, if I want anybody out of that wild applause, it's certainly Play with Fire. That's the horse that I'll be going most prominently towards. You're also getting a rider upgrade from Flavian somebody to Manny Franco, who was actually knows how to win recently. So yeah, I like play with fire in here. I think she's your most likely winner. There's maybe one or two prices I might talk about, but I'll kind of see where Josh landed first.
Okay, hold on. Before we go to Josh, you're saying that, oh, geez, speed was really good on the inner and nobody could pass and yada, yada, yada. What's changed? Like, nothing has changed. It's the same
It's
track.
changed. That was
It's
a
the
bias.
same surface. What are you talking about? The bias.
I mean, biases don't last forever. I mean, that was a very. I think every race on Thursday, Friday, Sunday was wired, and I think Saturday maybe one or two kind of came from a little bit off. But I mean, today on the inner turf there was both. There was only two races, both one off, mid pack, kind of off the pace. So I don't think it's playing how it was then.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually wanted to highlight Fortnite is Fun is already going firing. He says Daisy Flyer wins for fun. And that's a 3-horse in this spot. Caleb, was this one of the prices that you liked?
No, I think this is arguably your least likely winner in the race. But
George
make
Arnold
the argument.
always
Like,
points.
what am I not? I mean, I get that he was third in a grade 3 to Vixen at 90-1 last out, but what am I not seeing about this horse that makes him win for fun? Did anyone else like the horse?
No,
I did not.
No way at all. No.
He says-
I think I would agree with you. Least likely winner.
He said he doesn't believe the rails are up. Outside post 8, horses are 12 for 200. Tough sledding from outside. I like the 5. I mean,
Wow.
I like turf speed. I mean,
Just turf speed?
I mean, I like all speed. Jose is staying aboard here. Him and Cassie have been just red hot. Yeah, and I mean, Cassie in general has been pretty hot. Although I think he might be cooling down a little bit. But I don't know. This looks like a race that's pretty devoid of speed. And I mean, we've seen this a million times in New York. I mean, they just get out and they let them do whatever they want to do out front. And I think in this case, Classic Q might be kind of tough to catch, and we might just get a repeat of what we saw on a 4th of July weekend there. But that's the only horse I'm using here. It's a lone A.
Let me guess, Caleb. One of your prices in here is going to be the 8, however you say the name, a Terrador, the maker horse.
A Terrador,
yeah.
That's my second preference.
That felt like a Caleb
prices,
special.
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that felt like a Caleb special right there.
Yeah, definitely not my favorite long shot in here, but it is one that seems to be kind of knocking at the door. Always kind of shows up, never runs a bad race. It has been facing much better than this, truthfully. I mean, Nitrogen and Fion, the leaders of this division, and I don't think it's all that close. Lush Lips, probably the third candidate, and it has really been banging heads with some of the best 3-year-old fillies on the turf in her last couple of starts. Gets to try Saratoga. I mean, Mike Maker, with these 3-year-old fillies on turf, does generally fine. The price is right here to take a shot. I'm not saying I love this horse, but you'll probably get every bit of that 10-1, if not better. And she's not that far off on figures to be able to take a small step forward and get into the mix here. But my actual preferred price is number 6, Princess Attitude, owned by G. Watts Humphrey and trained by noted graded stakes savant Vicky Oliver. This is a horse that, if you're looking at the time form figures, has improved every single start. I feel like I say this at least once a month when we stream. That's one of my favorite angles, are horses that are just continuously improving. And she's not taking giant leaps and bounds forward. She's kind of inching forward 3-5 points at a time. Another move forward in that realm really puts her right in the conversation here. I think she has some genuine excuses in her last couple. I mean, I just said Lush Lips, probably the third best 3-year-old filly in this division. And, she ran a fine second to Lush Lips, who would be heavily favored if she showed up in here today. And the Hilltop 2-back, I thought just moved too early over a very soggy, demanding turf course. That race totally fell apart if you kind of see where the first and second place horses came from. And I think, Saez maybe just moved a touch too early on her that day and ended up getting caught and run down late. But again, she's one who I think is just inching forward, piece by piece. It's coming out of, another good race in the Tepin. And there's one here that, catching a firmer turf course in all likelihood, could surprise at a bigger price, given if she can get somewhat of a good positioning here. And again, I don't think you get a ultra deep closer in this race, and I could see Princess Attitude being the type who can sit, maybe 3 lengths off the 5.
I can't believe you found a GWAT's Humphrey horse at Saratoga.
In New York.
My God. I know, in New York, period. Yeah, right?
Anything else in this race you guys want to talk about?
That's all I had.
Cobb wants Pack. He wants you to roll those R's.
It does not. No, my tongue. No.
I see Brandon in the chat. And I see someone say, Josh, when you mentioned no balls, he took a look, including in my pick 5 and 1. Thanks, man. So appreciate that. And yeah, let's move on to the Jim Dandy. Grade 2. And I mean, Saratoga and 5 horse graded stakes races. I mean, name a more iconic duo. You got 2 to 5 on Sovereignty in this race, and you get 3 to 1 on Baeza, 6 to 1 on Sandman. You got double digits on the others in this race. Anyone here trying to beat Sovereignty? Caleb, you hate money. You trying to beat Sovereignty here?
I'm trying to beat Sovereignty here. But I will say I have no argument against Sovereignty besides the price. I thought I was way in the journalism camp in the Belmont Stakes. I thought Sovereignty maybe just got a better trip and took to the off track a little better. And I was just absolutely wrong. I mean, Sovereignty ran by journalism, who is an extremely nice horse, like he wasn't even moving. My only knock on Sovereignty is just it got 2 to 5. What am I going to do with that? And the fact that it is Belmont, it's Go Dolphin. Very clearly, this is not the target. This is a prep for the Travers, and it's not a 1.25 miles, which is where Sovereignty has really looked his best in his last 2 starts. So if you kind of do the algebra and say he might only be 85% cranked and he's going to be 90% as effective at 9 furlongs versus 10, I think he might be a little vulnerable, but it is admittedly a stretch. I think he's a very deserving favorite and should be every bit of 1 to 2 against this field. That being said, I'm betting Baeza.
Oh God.
Oh God. In a karmic turnaround of absolute justice, our Lord and Savior Hector Berrios is getting the mount and coming to New York, and he means business. I mean, somewhat joking aside, I hated the ride Pratt gave Baeza last time out. I mean, to be behind Sovereignty turning for home, do you think you're going to run this horse down? Like, what are you doing? I just thought that was an absolutely ridiculous ride. And I also just thought Baeza didn't look as sharp as he did in the Kentucky Derby. He looked really good in that race. And he looked really good in the Santa Anita Derby, for that matter. But his Belmont, I just didn't like it. And I was going to be out on Baeza if he showed up here, if I didn't, kind of see, the workouts leading into this. And I hate to be like, I watched the workout videos. But I watched the workout videos. And this looks like a different horse. I mean, he seems to be just breathing fire right now. And, if you know anything about John Sheriff, this is not how he trains his horses. This is a Bob Baffert work tab. I mean, 46-2, 111, 59-4. This is not the way he trains his horses. He gives them starts. He races them into condition. He builds stamina. So for this horse to be working like this, it kind of tells me 2 things. I mean, one is that, Sheriffs believes this horse can win, because you don't ship a horse all the way across the country to run in a race against a horse you don't think you can beat. And 2, I think we see more speed from him. When Hector had the mount, this horse was much more aggressively placed than it was with Pratt or Rispoli. And, granted, the field sizes were smaller, but that's kind of what we have here as well. It's a 5-horse field. There's no speed in the race besides Moplex. So I absolutely expect Baeza to be sitting second against this bunch, and wouldn't even be completely surprised if they try to, see if they can pop the gate and get out there on the front. So I think a change in tactics and, some confidence here, it compels me to bet this horse one more time. I'm almost out, but I'm compelled to bet him one last time to see if he can turn the tables on Sovereignty.
Could you wax poetically about Puka for a minute? Just because, you gotta lean into the Twitter simp angle, right?
Puka? Who's Puka?
The dam.
No, I'll leave that one to you.
Penn State Scott saying that Pratt is showing Rosario tendencies, which is kind of funny because it seems like Rosario's been showing some Pratt tendencies a little bit the last couple of weeks. So I don't hate Baez on the spot. It's my second pick in this race, and my top pick is not Sovereignty. I mean, I got to stay on brand, right?
Give me a Moplex.
I'm a Moplex, and you know, I think if we were going like if we were doing the old you know, mile and a quarter type distance, right? We were going a little bit longer here. You know, maybe I'd be like, all right, whatever. Sovereignty's gonna get enough time to kind of get going and whatever, and you know, run down, you know, this type of cheap speed. But I don't know, man. Going a mile and the eighth, just that you know that extra furlong less that they're gonna have, I think, to really get going and run down the front. I don't know. I just think that you look at Sovereignty's best races. They've been obviously going the mile and a quarter because that you know those are the you know the more classic races for 3-year-olds here. Um, and right, like you see like the improving pattern and everything like that. But I don't know. Like I just don't think that a mile and the eighth is gonna really be long enough to let Sovereignty show exactly what he's got. I mean, they're gonna have to get this horse involved super early, and maybe they will, right? I mean, if they keep this horse a lot closer to the pace, then you know maybe they'll be able to, you know, they invite him in. But I don't know. Moplex, he's not that much slower than Baeza and Sovereignty, at least on time form. Um, and you know, I mean, Sovereignty's really only got one race that completely jumps off the page, and it was that Belmont. So I don't know. I thought Moplex on being on the front end, speed's always deadly on the dirt, especially when you're legitimately the only speed in the entire race. And I just think Baeza. I think with the change in Jock, and you know, knowing that Hector has been more aggressive when he's been aboard, I just think that I think that this is going to be a really good shot. And I saw someone too. I think Cobb was saying that the Nair guys have been hyping Baez all week. Caleb now Caleb's actually gone back and looked at work, so you know something's going on. So I thought that if you're going to beat Sovereignty at all this year, this is the time. I think this is really going to be it. And because I think if he runs second, Mott's not going to care. I mean, this is not Mott. I know like we're talking about Travers, but like honestly, Mott probably at this point he's just thinking about Breeders' Cup Classic and getting this horse to the finish line and being able to win the classic with this horse. So, yeah, I definitely think that someone other than Sovereignty is going to win this race, and I think Moplex is my top pick in here, but I will have Baez on all my tickets as well.
Yeah, you know, how do I even put this? You know, I understand where you're coming from, Josh, but you know, in this mindset that
I don't know. I didn't hit any. There's something coming though. I know.
I'm getting buzzed.
There's not even an alert, just a buzzer.
I'm just getting buzzed for something. Yeah, you know, I think when you look at the race, is Sovereignty cranked for this? Probably not. But I don't necessarily think he needs his best game here, and he can probably run a B effort and still win this. There's big purse on this race. I don't think Bill Mott, you know, doesn't want to win the race per se. You know, and I think he's a major player here. Baeza, I'll have no part of. I think you guys are all nuts. I'll take very much what Brandon said in chat, which is that Baeza's basically run the same 3 exact last races. What's the impetus here for him to take a step forward and beat horses that have consistently shown they're better than him? And I don't really know what it is. But you know, to Josh's point, the horse I'm most interested in here is Moplex. You know, we've seen Moplex last out, first time stretching out, took a big step forward. I realize company's much tougher here. Do I really necessarily trust a Timonian figure? I don't know if I do. But you know, he's low in speed. He's going to get as loose as he wants to get. You know, I think Manny fits him very well. And, you know, Manny just needs to not go stupid on the front end with him, and he's your controlling pace. And if Sovereignty doesn't bring his A game, I think Moplex can take him a really, really long way on the front end. So yeah, I mean, I'm not actually sure how I play it. It's going to depend on wager type, and something like a pick 5, I think. I don't even know. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I think those are the only 2 horses in the race that I'm interested in. Would be Moplex and Sovereignty.
I can't believe I just realized that Manny Franco's aboard this horse.
Would you feel better if it was Jose Lezcano?
No, I feel a lot better if it was Joe Ramos.
I do like Moplex as well. I thought that Ohio Derby was better than it looked. He did have a bit of trouble. He missed the break. It doesn't show up here, but he did. And he beat Chunk of Gold pretty handily, who I don't think is a bad horse. He's no Sovereignty, but it wasn't like that was the Ohio Derby where nobody showed up. So yeah, I mean, I don't think he's a likely winner, but I think you get paid to take that risk, and he's got some things to like. Yeah, so I'm with you guys.
Hey, he ran 3rd in that Champagne with Chancer McPatrick, who won the nice race today.
I will leave this straight.
Tip Top Thomas, who also won a stakes race. So
he won the Indiana Derby.
Yeah. That, I mean, Caleb, like we do need to talk about the fact that you said today, I believe you said that if Chancer something about there's no way Chancer McPatrick wins this race, and I mean I think you kind of did it to yourself.
I mean, I spoke it like 4 hours before the race even went off that I would consider unaliving myself if he won that race, and I'm still here, but my soul is broken.
I was debating about unaliving myself after he won the race, so I mean, same difference, right?
Cobb asking, what are your guys' thoughts on Sandman? Sounds like no one has even considered him.
I like the blinkers going on. I think this is a horse that has needed blinkers for a long time. I just don't think he's this good. He's even with the blinkers, he has no speed. He's going to be, he might be ahead of Hill Road, but I don't think he's good enough to run down Moplex or Baeza, much less Sovereignty. So he's not for me, but we'll see. I mean, I didn't think Sovereignty could show the kind of speed that he showed in the Belmont, for that matter. And if this horse has developed a tactical gear, then we're all in trouble. But yeah, Sandman just not for me.
Yeah, I think there's a few of these that we haven't seen in a bit. Sandman falling into that category. I want to see what the clock reports come back as. We've seen this before where horses, come to Saratoga, they start training really well, and they take that step forward. He's the one that's been off long enough where maybe he could take it. So I'll wait till I see clockers before. But I have a hard time getting there. He's, I think, to me, probably the 4th most likely winner of this race.
Well, I mean, Hill Road. I mean, I guess we might as well talk about the last horse we haven't talked about. Anyone talking about Hill Road at all?
No,
he can't win this race.
He can't win this race.
I think he will. I think he's a nice horse. I've always said he's a nice horse, but he has yet to find himself in a race with any pace in his entire career. If he ever does, I might bet him, but he's not good enough to spot this field, half a dozen lengths and still run them down.
Yeah, I mean, he did in the Peter Pan, and he was able to run him down. But he needs, he's a horse that maybe you find, I don't know, a bigger field where you have more of a pace collapse later on in the year. I don't know what that race is, but it probably also a little softer company. I mean, I think he's a nice horse. I just don't think he's anywhere near the caliber of a couple of others in here.
You think it's weird they haven't put this horse back on turf?
I do. Especially given the bottom half of that pedigree. Yeah, I do.
I don't understand why he's not on turf at all. It makes no sense to me. But
I would have thought after the Belmont, just get this horse going 2 turns on the turf at this point. But
I'm gonna bet you what they're gonna do with him, Josh, is that they're gonna run him here, and if he does what he's done the last couple of times, we've seen a couple of times where there was a horse on the Derby Trail. They tried him in one of these early preps for something else, didn't fire, and then on Travers Day he shows up in a turf stakes and whatever is a major player, and I think that's what you'll see. I think this is kind of, I'm assuming Chad has been giving him this one last shot for him to put the pieces together, and if he can't, he goes back on turf.
Yeah, hey, Saratoga Derby or something like that, like one of those 3-year-old
Saratoga Derby, or there's a few other options there, and I've seen him do it a few times before.
Yeah. All right, let's go take a look at Del Mar. race 7 is where we're going to start this late pick 5. Now, we do have to mention this because, we talked wax poetic about how great these low takeout, big base bets are. Remember, the late pick 5 is the high takeout one. I believe it's like 22 or 23%, something like that, some nutso. So buyer beware on the late pick 5. The early pick 5 is the player pick 5.
I gotta ask before we get into this. Does this pick 5 pay over or under $250? Because I'm thinking under.
I'm gonna say over.
I'm gonna say over as well, but you guys already knew
This,
that.
dude, this just feels like the chalkiest Delmar sequence I've ever seen. Like shockingly chalky. So I'm wondering if maybe it's just me.
I think it's been interesting, right? Since and shout out to our friends at DRF. Who are providing us with the PPs here today. Obviously, we talked about it last week, but Ask DRF AI, chat.drf.com. Check out their AI tool there. But, I've been handicapping a lot of different stuff lately. I've been doing stuff with Louis Rabeau in Louisville a couple times. Obviously, doing our stuff here, doing a lot of Del Mar. On our the Get Out. We're going to be talking late pick 4 at Saratoga and drinking champagne. That should be out sometime tomorrow. So you got a lot of stuff coming out here. But I very much am usually a one product person, right? If I use Brisnet, I'm basically only using Brisnet, right? If I'm using Timeform, I'm only using Timeform. It's been interesting since being able to play around with DRF a little bit, being able to click between formulator and Timeform pretty easily, because I never, and Caleb, I know you basically are like me. I never look at a DRF, never. I like, you could, like, the only time I look at a DRF is literally when I'm at the track with Caleb's dad and I'm just tilted and we are looking at Indiana Grand or something while sitting in expensive seats somewhere, like. And I'm just like, look, just hand me your form real quick.
Paper
Like,
form.
yeah, like, but it's been interesting because and I think we'll talk about this when we get to some of these other races. It's really interesting to see the differences between the two products. Like, I'll look at a race on Timeform, and it looks like a really, really flat race. And all of a sudden I look at DRF, and it's like one horse is legitimately 15 points faster than the rest of the field, and like, I'll look at something at a time for him, like, why is this horse the favorite? I don't understand why David made his horse the favorite. You look at DRF, and it's the fastest horse on it's the fastest horse on buyers. So it's been interesting, kind of flipping back and forth. So I could kind of see, Mark, why I think you think that this is a little bit chalky, because I think there's a race later where there's a little bit of disagreement, but this is not one of them, because this is a 2-year-old fillies turf maiden race, going a mile, 2 turns here on the turf. Your morning line favorite is the 6 Got the Ring at 5-2, City Lady at 3-1, Soaring Angel at 6-1. Remember April, Mama Glows, and Kazazi all at 8-1. You get double digits on the rest. I thought that this looked pretty chalky to me. I was most interested in the 6 Got the Ring with Turf God Mike Smith aboard. And I like to stretch out here. This is it been a turf sprinter, one time out, stretching this horse out. It's going to be your controlling speed in here, and I've always said Mike Smith is good at 2 things: getting a horse out of the gate and trying to, win a race wire to wire, or making one run. You make him do anything else in between, I don't want to bother with it. Like, he's got to either be coming on a deep closer who can make one run, or he's got to be on the lead. I think he's going to be on the lead here. Mike Smith doesn't need to get out of bed at this point for anything less than 10K. I like Got the Ring here. And then of the first time starters, I thought the 7 looked pretty good here. Now, City of Light hasn't necessarily gotten off to, I think, a really, really hot turf start. I'll pull up the formulator PPs and take a look here. But for 2-year-old first-time starters, hitting at 14%. And turf routes a little bit less at 10%. So maybe we don't have the big enough sample size here, but this is the first foal out of a dam, so there's just not a whole lot here. But you see Flavian Pratt gets aboard here. He owns the West Coast.
Push the button, because that's the only reason you're on the horse. I mean, just push the button.
Push the button.
This horse is like I don't get it at all, but okay.
And then lastly, I like the 2 Kizazi a little bit. This is another horse that's shown some speed, but I think the connections are going to really keep this horse a pretty long price. But if you look on buyers, this is your fastest horse, albeit it's a dirt figure. If you look on time form, fastest horse on time form. So I think if you're looking at you're kind of looking at some of these horses. If you're not going to take a first-time starter, I really think that the 2, if he takes a step forward, I think he's going to be really tough here. Mitoli, another one, not really known for, or hasn't really, I think, done all that well on turf to start. But this is out of a more than ready mare, which, like, a mile on the turf just absolutely hits that square in between the eyes. So I'm just going to be the 6, 7, and 2 here. Mark, where did you land?
Yeah, I mean, this race sucks and I absolutely hate it. But I think your 6 makes a ton of sense. I wish it was literally any other jockey but Mike Smith. But it's Mike Smith on turf. He had a turf win today, and I think, again, to your point, Josh, Mike Smith is kind of a no thinky just sendy sort of jock, and I think that's probably all he might have to do on Got the Ring. The only other horse, you mentioned City Lady. Mike McCarthy is 5%. He with first-time starters, and he is 0 for 23 since 2024 with first-time starters debuting at a mile or longer. This is not what Mike McCarthy is good at. You bet this horse in her second or third start when she's got a little bit of bottom end. That's just not here. The other horse you didn't mention that I thought was a little interesting, and again, this is just one of my, I remember this being an angle for a while, is the 3 for Lienes, for Luis Mendez, who is very noted as a trainer who fires at a stupidly high percentage with 2-year-olds. They win, and then he sells them off, or they go to some other barn. That's kind of his game. So that was the other horse that I thought was a little interesting in here. But I don't know. I'm hoping Caleb has something creative to say, because I think that this 6 should probably be even money in this field, unless there's somebody else that I'm completely missing here.
Yeah, I don't have anything great in here, but we all go to this 6, but he's not even money because he's a nice horse, right? I mean, he beat 2 horses in his debut, and now has to stretch out 3 furlongs with, a move that's, Peter Miller's he's better second time out than first time out, but he's not great going sprinter out. So, you're not getting a great, jockey on board here. And, the fact Kendrick rode in the first place in California ought to probably tell you a lot. So, I just think the 6 is going to be a big underlay in here, because everybody's going to see what we've kind of talked about. I think he can win, and I think maybe he deserves to be the favorite, maybe, depending how much the Pratt money takes on the 7. But, to me, I just think he's usable, and he probably will be used my pick 5, but I just think he's a big underlay in this field. I do kind of like Josh's 2, Kizazi, who, does own the best speed figure in the race, albeit that was on dirt. Mitoli hasn't been a very good turf sire so far, excuse me. The barn is not exactly what you would hope to see here, but, it is a horse that you'll get, you're going to get a decent price on. In a race with very limited data, you're getting a good price on the fastest horse in the race. Take that for what it is. The other horse I wanted to talk about, who is maybe my top pick in here, would be the number 8, Soaring Angel. This is more of kind of a pedigree play here. Tim Yakteen has had a decent start to the Del Mar meet. I mean, he's hitting at about 22% through the first 2 weeks of the meet, or week and a day, I guess, of the meet. But mostly it's on the pedigree side here. I mean, this horse is a half sibling to Johannes, one of the best turf milers, in the country right now. Dam has produced 3 horses to run. All of them have won, and all of them have won on the turf. So a lot of turf on that bottom half of the pedigree. The horse comes in with a very long string of workouts, all of which appear to be pretty consistent around that 48-second mark for going 4 furlongs. And a race where I just don't, I don't love anybody. I mean, this is an easy horse for me to gravitate towards, especially, when you look at the numbers with Kazushi up for Tim Yakteen. They're pretty strong here. So this is one that I'll have on most of my tickets. But essentially, I'll be some combination of, in the pick 5, probably, take the logicals, the 2, 6, 7, and 8. If I was playing this more skinny or a different kind of wager, I'd try to do a little more with the 8.
No 5 for you, Caleb? I figured 5 was a Caleb horse.
I struggle with Tyler Bays.
Is that what it was? Okay, I get it.
He's tough for me to use. And OTWL, one of my favorite horses, in recent time, but has not been a great sire. I think he's getting like 5% first time out winners. I think that might be a little better on turf, maybe, but it's a big ask for me on that horse.
I say it's 8, but
8, okay, yeah. But yeah, I mean, in a race where I have no real opinion, you could talk me into the 5, but he wasn't one I initially. A different jockey, I'd be higher on him. I'll say that.
My only way I get there is, Ryan Hansen is a pretty good 2-year-old trainer as well, and somebody who fires at a fairly high percentage first time out. So I thought there was a little bit of upside. But I think, I know we're all kind of defaulting to the 6, but and then we're trying to get creative and invent prices other places, but that's just because there's really no place else to go. So this feels like one of those races where you either get really aggressive to the 6 and just go, okay, I can't find anybody else I like, or maybe you do some sort of, I don't know, kind of a game theory strategy where toss a 6 and make a really spready play here and then have your opinions other places. So, I honestly don't like the race.
Shout out to anybody who saw my play at Charlestown in chat.
With the horse pie?
2-1. Wire to wire at Charlestown. How else are you going to win there? Anything else in this race? I thought it was a tough race, and I took the easy way out by taking the 2 highest figures and some rando. I did look at the 8 a bit. I just didn't know how I felt about Nick's Go. But
yeah, 1 for 4 with turf runners so far, or 1 for 5 maybe. But yeah, I mean, limited sample size, so who knows?
All right, the San Diego Handicap, 3-5 on the number 2 Nisos. And when I see 3-5 in the morning line, there's only one guy who can start this off. Caleb, how are you betting? How are you beating Nisos in this race?
Okay, listen. Nisos can win this race, right? But it bothers me a little bit that they just don't stretch this horse out. I mean, they debut him at 6, they run him at 7, they tepidly stretch him out to the mile in the RB Lewis, and yeah, he handled it. He beat absolutely nothing, but he beat nothing at 1-9 the way you're supposed to, I guess. Disappears, comes back on the Churchill Downs, easily the best sprint of the year, runs a really good race. I mean, I doubt the plan was to be 8th coming out of the gate, but runs a good race, just misses. Mind Frame went to win the Stephen Foster Clark. What he just did something at Churchill. I wasn't impressed visually with the race, but it was a grade 1, so it is what it is. It comes back and then romps the Triple Bend, beating Dr. Venkman by a 4-horse field. But why run him back again at 7 furlongs? I'm just very bothered by the lack of progression with this horse. I get it. I mean, he's extremely talented. Is
this a mile and 16th?
It is a mile and 16th. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a mile and 16th, 2 turns. I mean, I just wonder if you're a time form guy anyway, this horse is not 3-5. Now, you can project improvement, you can project class, you can project, but he was fast as a 2-year-old. You can do what you want to do. Workouts, Bob Baffert in California, which, by the record, hasn't been that good this meet. I think he's 2 for 13 or something. He had a win today, at something like 3-5 or whatever with the 2-horse, but has not had a great start to the meet by his standards. And I don't know. I just don't I don't trust the horse necessarily. So for me, I'm going to the number 5 horse Hall of Fame. This horse, if you go to his New Orleans Classic, he's actually just as fast, if not a little bit faster than Nisos, in that race. He beat Sierra Leone by 2 lengths in that race, 3 back. I thought he had a couple excuses after that. I mean, he came back in the Ali Sheba chasing kind of a merry-go-round pace with Fierceness and Most Wanted. Fierceness would, probably be co-favored with Nisos in a spot like this. It'd be a hell of a race at any rate. And then in the Blame, I thought he was traveling really well, and coming into the turn for home, Antiquarian blew the turn, bore out, and floated Hall of Fame like way out into like the 6 or 7 path. I thought that kind of took some of his momentum away a little bit, and he never really seemed to finish off the race the way he looked like he was going to. That race came back pretty strong. I mean, Mystic Dan ran fine, out of that race. Post Time came out with the win. He actually beat Banishing that day and a few others. So, I mean, hell, even Antiquarian came out of that race to run second by a nose in the Suburban, and he kind of beat Locked by half a dozen length in that race. So I just think that he's coming out of stronger grade 2s and grade 3s than it appears. He's had some reasons for, the slightly lackluster performances. And on numbers, I mean, 3 of his last 5 are fast enough to win this race. So for me, I mean, I like Hall of Fame. I think it speaks a lot that, McCarthy picks this up, puts him in a spot like this, knowing who he's going to have to run against. So for me, I'm going to take a shot with Hall of Fame to beat Nisos. But yeah, I won't be surprised if Nisos airs.
I'm all over Hall of Fame in this spot. I think I really can't expound much on it than you did, Caleb. I am a time form truther, and when time form tells me this is the fastest horse in the race, like, I gotta believe it. This was the race I was talking about, though, because if you go to the DRF, the New Orleans Classic comes back a 106, but I mean, Nisos has got a 105 and a 108, right? But granted, those are both 1 mile at Santa Anita is 1 turn, right?
No, it's 2 turns.
It's 2 turns at Santa Anita too. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously the Santa Anita, the 7 furlong was 1 turn. So, I don't know. But like I said, once you flip over to the time form, Hall of Fame looks a lot better. I'm pretty sure at the start of the year, I was like waxing poetic about Hall of Fame, how I thought he was going to have a big year this year. And he's hasn't won a stakes race yet, but he won the Mine Shaft. But I don't know. I'm interested to see how they continue to campaign this horse, especially now that Mike McCarthy has him. And I don't know, is it a permanent barn switch, or is it just because it's they're running in California?
I think it is permanent.
Permanent? Okay. And honestly, the Ali Sheba, came back, really, really good. And especially like class wise, right? Like they had this race as the 132, which is basically the toughest race that anyone in here has run. So I really do like Hall of Fame. But I mean, Caleb, it is California. It's Bob Baffert's backyard. So I like Miramati in this spot.
Oh my
the
God.
3-horse.
Oh wow.
Are you?
Do we have a Bob Simp buzzer?
Dude.
So you thought you had a fever. You clearly have a fever, right? Like you're not well, right? Like something wrong with you.
Look, I look at this race, and this is the speed of the speed. You get JJ stays aboard here. Now here's the thing. All right. Last time JJ rode Nisos, do you think that it was just like a handshake thing where he was just told, "Hey, you're riding him this time, but Pratt's going to keep riding him"?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the only person that's won on Nisos this year is JJ, and he's not riding him. Instead, he's riding Miramati, who he also won with at Santa Anita with a really, really nice figure, 124. Granted, that was a Santa Anita track that was marked as being speed favoring. So, maybe we have to take that figure with a grain of salt, but that 124 is, it's right there with what the rest of these horses are running. So I don't know. I just think kind of being the speed of the speed in this race, I'll take a shot with Miramati, especially with JJ aboard, who, frankly, with the way Pratt's been riding the last couple weeks, is the best rider in the state of California, even with Pratt in town right now. So, yeah, I like the 3 Miramati here, and I'll be using the 5 Hall of Fame, and that's all I'm going to use here. Mark, you got the chalk eating look on your face, so tell us why Nicelos is winning this.
Go back to Miramati for a second. Just,
Oh, no.
we're going to educate the audience a little bit here. What happens every time after Miramati runs a really big figure on time form? Like, what's the next out figure? What happens?
Probably the same thing that happens after Frank Miramati has an entire large pizza to himself. Takes a nap afterwards.
Okay, yeah. I don't care whether you say he's in every other type. I don't care whether you say he's the definition of class exposed. Caleb made a comment earlier about offing himself. If Miramati wins this race, I may off myself. This horse is the biggest no-hoper of the century.
You got to look at those 2 races off Lasix too, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, 8th by 25 and 6th by 19 in those 2 races.
Pick any of the 3 reasons there that you want to for why. The horse also took 8 times to break his maiden. This is a horse that, because of his name is hyped and his trainer, this is an allowance horse at best. With that all being said, I think Nicelos wins.
So should I bet Tarantino instead if we're talking about names?
So, with all of that said, Nicelos wins this race probably 75 or 80% of the time. I do actually very much agree with Caleb here. It is somewhat suspect that they've never really stretched this horse out. There are clearly lots of issues with this horse, who has 5 starts over 3 years. I don't imagine that was ever the plan with this one. I don't imagine campaigning a horse like Flightline is what you want to do. The only other horse I was a little interested in was the horse who's inside, and that's Midnight Mammoth. This is a horse that had a really, really nice summer of 2024, and absolutely had a blowout win in the Cougar 2 across the surface. A little bit of suspect form since then, but it seems like that last out effort in the Gold Cup was a really nice effort. And if you're, again, a time form truther, if you go back to that last year's time form fig that he ran across the Del Mar surface, it was like a 124, 125. Yeah, he ran a 125 in that Cougar too. That makes him a major player in this race. And I think that with a lot of the other short priced horses, there's a lot of question marks. So he's a horse. I know he can get the distance. It doesn't feel like he has some sort of issue being off Lasix, or some sort of issue with every other type of form, or some sort of issue potentially getting the trip like Nicelos may be. I think Midnight Mammoth is the only other horse I want any part of. So I would be A to Nicelos, use Midnight Mammoth as a B, and I don't really need anybody else in here.
Did any of you guys look at the senior citizen horse in this race?
Express Train?
Yes. He's not the horse that he once was. Race a year? He's not the horse he once was, right? But there was some flashes of life in the last couple of starts. In that Santa Anita Big Cap, or he looked a winner for a moment there. He did beat Hit Show, who, as Josh will be happy to tell you, came back to win the Dubai World Cup at 50-something to 1 or 40-something to 1. But any look there, he does like Del Mar. He likes, this is his trip. Maybe he's not as good as he was, but if Nicelos doesn't handle the stretch out, does he if you assume Nicelos doesn't handle the stretch out, does he become a player, or is there just no world he wins?
I think he gave me crap when I picked him in to win the Big Cap in 2022. And that was a couple of years ago. And I think we're finally to the point where that ship has kind of sailed.
Yeah, I think the 5 or the 3 or the 2 win this race. But I might have the 4. If I'm playing against Nicelos, I'm probably not going to let Express Train beat me. I'll have him on the ticket somewhere.
I do think it's funny that the Boomer horse has got Mike Smith aboard. So
So is this like when
um,
the boomer rides the boomer, good things happen?
yeah. So Cobb's asking, why is that the reason that pattern happens? Talking about, I think, the pattern between Miramati. You think it's just the Lasix?
I think there's a couple of factors. There's certain horses that they exert themselves in a big effort and they just take them a while to recover. And sometimes a race really kind of gets that condition to get that next start. So you see those kind of patterns happen a lot in horses where they have a big effort and then they just kind of have a subpar effort, and they have a big effort and they have a subpar effort. They just sort of need more time. They need a recovery. I think that can be it. I also think Caleb's point about the Lasix is extremely likely in this situation. But this is a horse that may just need Lasix to bring his best stuff. And I've heard trainers use it as a performance enabler, and I just maybe Miramati is one of those horses that to bring his best performance needs that enabler. I don't know which one you go to here, but it's always something I tend to look for those every other types because it's something that's done well for me over the years. So yeah, I think there's a few reasons that it can happen.
Yeah, and then Cobb said, personally, if I was betting on names, I'd bet the horse that's in the Hall of Fame. So he's going to the Hall of Fame. Moving on, race 9. We got a nice little 5-furlong turf stakes race here. And your morning line favorite in here is going to be the 6 Uncorked at 3-1. Oh, sorry, the 10 Pushiness at 5-2. Uncorked is at 3-1. And then it kind of gets flat after that. 6-1 on I'm About to Go and Chismosa, which means, what does that mean in Spanish, Mark? Means gossip.
Oh,
Chismosa
gossip.
is a woman that's a gossip.
So that's your favorite word then?
Oh, dude, I had tons of chismosas. Yeah.
Okay.
8-1 Granny Budgie, and then you get double digits on the rest. Oh, you got Spicy Bug at 5-1 as well. Mark, where did you land here?
Yeah, interesting race. I think there's a lot of ways you can go in here, but it tends to be, I don't know. Maybe this is just me being me, but I think my top choice is gonna be the 7 Spicy Bug. I'm always gonna go to Rispoli on turf in California, and especially when it appeared he had other choices in here. There was a few others he had ridden to wins or to at least good efforts recently. So I thought it was interesting that he sort of lands on the 7. And McCarthy's pretty darn good off the long layoff. So I don't think. I don't think that's a concern here or either. And this is a horse that also has generally liked to find the winner's circle. She's been a pretty good horse, and she definitely likes to win. So I thought Spicy Bug was, at least for me, the most likely winner. And the other horse that I thought was a little interesting was the 2 I'm About to Go. You're getting DeMuro up for Powell, and DeMuro had his one winner on the meet was for Powell at a stupid price. The horse paid $59. I realize this is out of the Wesley Ward barn, and that to me is always a little bit of a scary thing. But this horse has an absolute ton of natural speed. It should be very much on the front end of the sprint, and is going to probably try to take him as far as as far as she can. So. I thought that the 2 and the 7 were the most likely winners here. There's some other directions that I thought you could go in this race, but interested to see where you guys landed, because again, I was having a hard time getting creative in this race. I felt like it was a pretty logical, albeit big field race.
Caleb, where'd you land?
Yeah, so I guess to touch on Mark's horses, I do like Spicy Bug. I wonder what kind of a race we'll get from the 5-year-old mare coming off a year and change layoff. But if she's fit, she'll be tough. I just wonder if she might need a race. But I do like her in here. I don't know what to do with I'm About to Go. Out of the Wesley Warren Bard off the big layoff, there's questions here. She's going to have to contend with the speed of Pushiness way to the outside, who only has one way to go. So I don't know what to do with I'm About to Go. Right now I have her as a B. I may downgrade her a touch depending on how the track turns up. If it's looking like it's playing to speed, or what the workout reports show for how she's been working in the morning coming off the layoff. But she's interesting for sure. My top pick is actually the number 9, Granny Budgie. That's a weird name for a horse. But So if get out your, your felt marker here and draw a line through the races that were down the hill at Santa Anita, and all of a sudden this form looks a hell of a lot better. I just wonder, down the hill is a very peculiar configuration. A lot of horses love it, and some horses hate it. And I kind of just wonder if this is a horse who doesn't care for going down the hill and making that right hand turn followed by the big left. Maybe doesn't love the dirt crossing. There's just things to be a little bit concerned about with when you look at how different her performances are in those races versus the races out of the chute going 6 furlongs at Santa Anita. And I think that, 5 furlongs at Del Mar plays a lot closer to 6 furlongs out of the chute than it does 6.5 down the hill. If anything, I think 6.5 down the hill plays more like a mile. So for me, I mean, I think if you look at the optional 80 and the optional 100 that she ran, where she was victorious in both times, I mean, I think she gets a similar setup here. I mean, I think the 2 and the 10 both go to the lead. I think she's going to be, mid pack or further back here. But I just wonder, I mean, if you look at some of her numbers, she's, right there with that race 2 back at that optional 80 at Santa Anita that she won. She actually beat Pushiness that day, and it on where it looked like, if I had to bet that race at the 8th pole, I would have made Pushiness 1-9. I mean, she was 3.5 lengths clear, with a 16th left to go, and she got caught. I mean, Granny Bugie was flying that day, and I just think that she's one that might have some upside left in here. So she is my top selection. I probably will have Pushiness on the ticket. I don't know. I mean, I'm really bothered by the way she just hasn't finished off her races this year. And I get the temptation to say, well, 5 furlongs is going to help her, but she couldn't finish off 5 furlongs when she tried it last time either. So I don't know if maybe she's a better dirt horse. I mean, the speed doesn't seem to carry her. The stamina kind of gives out. I don't know. She's a nice horse, a nice filly, but at 5-2 and is the favorite. I'm not sure how much of her I really want. I'll have certainly more of Spicy Bug and Granny Bugie in this race.
Yeah, because if Cobb's still watching, Granny Bugie is another one of your every other type horses as well. So just throwing it out there.
Yeah, Pushiness is my top pick in here. I do think the cut back to 5 is going to help this horse, but I like this 4.
I have the 4 as a B.
Ang and Ash, and Caleb. I might need your felt marker a little bit because if you cross off every single race that is not 5 furlong turf sprint at Del Mar, you got a much different horse. And I'm just wondering if this is just a horse that likes Del Mar, likes 5 furlongs. And I mean, the 2 times that horse tried it, won both races. And I think the cutback here is going to be sneaky good. And I've said it already about Mike Smith, right? At this point in time, he does not need to ride if he doesn't think he's got a shot, or he's riding for John Sheriffs as a favor. Those are literally the only 2 reasons Mike Smith gets on a horse. And granted, it's the same thing. Mark said, no thinky, just sendy. Well, this is no thinky, let all the speed go, then sendy. And those are the 2 things I think you kind of that Mike Smith I think is good with. He's still good at that time. He's got that clock. He's good at timing that one run. So I really like this. I really like this horse here. Maybe even kind of getting a little bit of class relief from the last 2 races where there wasn't that much pace either, and the horse, I mean, ran okay. So I like the 4 Ang and Ash at just a humongous price. I like the 10 Pushiness. And then my lone B was a horse that we already talked about, the 2 I'm about to go. It's a tough pill to swallow going from Wesley Ward to basically anybody else and a turf sprinter. But granted, I'm just looking at the best race of this horse's career was going 5 furlongs on the turf here at Del Mar. So maybe getting back here, the horse will just take to this 5 furlong distance again. Is inside drawn speed in this race, and I think can be dangerous. So, I'm 2, 4, and 10 in this race. I noticed none of us talked about the 6 Uncorked. Did anyone give this horse a look at all?
I think Uncorked and Pushiness to me are both the same horse. They both just don't like to win.
I mean, to me, I don't like 5 furlongs for Uncorked. I really think he's more or she's more of a miler. I mean, maybe they don't run that in California, but if there was like a Belmont 7 furlong turf sprint or something, I think that'd be perfect for her, like a Woodbine kind of a race, maybe like a 1-turn turf mile. But I think 5 furlongs is too sharp. I don't like her in this spot.
No.
I like the figures are fine, right? I mean, totally makes sense where she's put here. She's got some really nice figures, but this is absolutely a 2-turn horse. I don't understand why they're cutting back to this 5 furlong distance.
To me, it very much feels like a desperation move. They can't figure out how to get her to win, and they are trying to figure out what she want to do at this point in her career.
They occasionally run 6.5 at Santa Anita. That's not down the hill, don't they, Caleb?
No, it's 6 when they run.
Or is it just 6?
They do 6 and 6.5 out of the chute occasionally. 6.5 with a little asterisk on Brisnet is down the hill.
Yeah.
But
I just kind of feel like
there is
like
a 6.5 out of the chute at Santa Anita. That is true.
Okay.
I just kind of I just kind of feel like right if we saw that cut back, I'd be like, all right, like they're trying something different. But like to go from a mile, what looks like a miler type to 5 furlongs is a extreme cutback, and I just do not like it whatsoever.
I agree.
Anything else on this race? All right. Grade 1, Bing Crosby.
I know who Josh loves. I know
6
who
furlongs. You know who I like in this race?
Josh has been so on brand this whole stream.
I mean, I know who Josh is singled to. Josh has an ice cold single in this race.
I don't. I'm actually 3 wide in this race.
What?
But who do you think I singled in this race?
How are you not ice cold singled the world record? Pratt Simp, all those big E8s, all the lone speed. This is the joshiest of Josh Simp horses that could ever be joshed.
I do like world record though. World record is one of my horses in the spot. I mean, yeah, this is a horse. Honestly, like the fact that Pratt's aboard, like really not even. I mean, this is just the fastest horse probably on this race, with the exception of the other horse that I really like in this race, which is the horse just to its outside, the 6 Roll on Big Joe. Coming out of a Churchill Downs Stakes race, where Roll on Big Joe beat the likes of Dr. Venkman, and got a really nice figure for that. Yeah, I really like Roll on Big Joe here. It's weird to say that I'm betting Julian Leperoux in the West Coast. I mean that's something new, but yeah, I thought Roll on Big Joe was really impressive last time out, and yeah, I think that he's a huge player in this spot. I do think, like I said, world record's going to be your speed of the speed here, and going 6 furlongs on at Del Mar, speed's always deadly, so that's going to be dangerous. But the 2 horses that are going to be tracking off the speed, the 6 Roll on Big Joe, and the 7 is that Mbagnick. I mean, this is a horse that just absolutely dummied Hijazi last time out, who's 7-2 in this race for some reason. And unfortunately, our Lord and Savior Hector Barrios is not in town to ride this horse. So you get Armando Ayuso. But this is a horse that at least the last 2 times out has improved a little bit, and yeah, I'm interested to see how this horse is going to run here in this race, kind of tracking off what I think is going to be a pretty honest pace set by the 5. So I'm 5, 6, 7 in this race. I got 3 A's, no B's. Caleb, where did you land?
Yeah, so I'm with you on the 5 and the 6. I do think world record is a likely winner of this race. Not a favorite. I'll try. Super hard to beat. I really kind of hate that Mahoning Valley race. Like, what the hell was that? I mean, but it's fine. It's fine. This is a horse that just seems to be a little class exposed, other than the freak performance in the Amsterdam. But the numbers are there. Mark can probably make a case for why this is an every other kind of runner, and this should be the good one. But I'm not really against World Runner. Roland Big Joe, I thought actually looks great in here. I had him in that King's Ledge on June 28th. I don't know why I played Churchill that day, but apparently I did because I remember this horse. And I thought that he ran great. I mean, this horse seems to be finally putting it all together. Definitely needs to show that he can do it back at Del Mar, where he has not had that level of success. But given 4 of his last 5 wins, I think he's just a better horse than he was back then. So I agree with Josh there. The other horse I really want to talk about is the number 1, Crazy Mason. I mean, this is the East Coast Invader shipping out west to run again in the Bing Crosby here. And listen, this horse is going to be last turning for home probably. I mean, this horse has no speed. I mean, this horse has less than no speed. If there's like an anti-Josh horse, it might be this horse because if this is like an E -8. And the thing is though, like, he's really good. I mean, if he could just find a little tiny bit of speed, I think he'd be extremely, extremely good. But, I really wish this race was at 7 furlongs and not 6. I'd be a lot higher on him if that was the case. But once Connections kind of figured out that we have a sprinter and kind of maybe not a router, I mean, his last races were outstanding. I mean, he ran 3rd to Bookham Dano and Mulligan in that True North, who are arguably 2 of your top sprinters in the country right now. Bookham Dano, I mean, posted like a 1:31 time for him in that race. So a crazy good race, and he made up 10 lengths on those horses. I mean, the problem is he just tends to leave himself with a lot to do. And you are getting Chris Elliott, who I'm a big fan of in general, but not so much on a 1-run closer. And now that he's lost the weight break, it's a stakes anyway, so it wouldn't matter. But the fact that he doesn't have a weight break on top of that, I think it is kind of asking a lot. But I just can't not have this horse at 6-1 in a race like this. So I'll be having Crazy Mason as well as the 5 and 6. I don't really know what to do with Dr. Venkman. I feel like Mark is better at talking about these Dr. Post type horses, so maybe he can have something to say about this.
Yeah, of course, Caleb knows the horse I'm going to be on. No, I do like some world record, but no, I do like Dr. Venkman in this spot quite a lot. I always like a horse for course. It's one of the things that I always really like to look for. He's 3 or 4 going across this surface. I think there's enough pace in here to sort of set him up. He's sort of a horse that comes from a little bit off from it, and I think he'll get a really, really nice setup here. And he was close in his last couple. I realize he got bested by Roland Big Joe, but Julian Leparoux's gonna, after they pop the gates, realize this is in Kentucky and forget how to ride a horse. So I think Dr. Venkman's actually a really interesting player in here. Figures fit very well with this field. Both his last 2 efforts make him a major player in here, and I do like the fact that he, again, this. To me, this Del Mar surface is a very quirky, weird surface that certain horses get across well and certain horses just don't handle. And he's consistently shown he can handle it. So, I think I do like Crazy Mason, as Caleb mentioned, just for a bunch of quirky reasons. The problem is that horse needs to be about 15-1 for me to like him, not 6-1. And so for that case, I think I just need Dr. Venkman and world record in this field.
No one's going to be on Hijazi at all.
Absolutely not.
No interest whatsoever.
All right, so congratulations to the winner of the Grade 1 Bing Crosby, Hijazi. Shout out to Bob Baffert for winning it once again. Race 11. We're going to close out this late pick 5 here with a mile turf allowance race here. And we got a full field here. We got 2 also eligibles in the 12 and 13. I don't know why my PP showed the 7 all the way out in the
mine were doing that weird. There was some sort that horse is not in the race, and there's some sort of weird issue. I was getting that earlier too.
Interesting. But your morning line favorite looks to be the 6 Flyover at 5-2, 3-1 on Adios Cole, 5-1 Miracle Mark, 6-1 on Cuban Confusion, You get 5-1 on Data. Remember, double digits on everybody else. Oh, you get Suchet at 8-1. Caleb, I need to ask you because when I first went through and I looked at this, and I saw Suchet's turf figures from France. Like, why is this horse 8-1 in the morning line and not like even money in this race?
Well, I don't think he should be even money in this race, but I do think, you're digging back for October, November of 24, so you're looking 8 to 10 months ago. Those were over soft turf courses. It's a new barn. He's since shipped to America. Those figures kind of trended downwards a little bit in his last couple starts. All that to say, I agree with you, Josh. I like Suchet in this race. I mean, it's a Ronus Racing horse, John Sadler. They're putting up Mirko DeMuro, who, for those who don't know, is Christian DeMuro's brother. He's like mid 40s. He's not a young jock by any stretch, but he's won a couple of titles over in Italy. One of the top riders over there who's decided to try his hand out here in Del Mar this year. I would have loved to have seen a bigger work pattern. I don't love that he's coming into this with only 3 works. I wonder if he might be a little bit empty, in a race like this. But I mean, adding Lasix, a 4-year-old with plenty of upside for a good barn and a rider that knows how to get the job done. I agree with you. 8-1 is I'd be more than happy to lock that in right now. I agree with you.
Yeah, I love this horse in this spot. It's probably my top pick in here. Another horse I really like in this race actually isn't also eligible currently. The 13, Yakolev. I think this is another horse. I mean, that you look at some of these back races and has been able to do it going a mile, going 6 furlongs. Obviously, that's all with turf god Hector Barrios aboard. But I mean, this is a horse that had a really, really good stretch of form coming into this year, right? Starting in the Bing Crosby meet at Del Mar, nice second, and then just didn't miss the board, and including 4 wins in 6 races. Kind of went off form here, and I mean, is listed coming off 8 days rest, so this may be just one that might not even get in, but I thought that this was a really interesting horse in the spot if he does run in here with some nice back races. But in the main body of the field, outside of the one, sometimes my nickname for our co-host, Mark Capitan, Miracle Mark, the number 3 horse here for Phil D'Amato. I like this horse in this spot. I think last time out, was on the lead and just kind of, I mean, I think got the lead just like kind of by default. There wasn't much speed in there. And maybe just wasn't like super, super comfortable on there and ended up finishing third, getting kind of caught there. But I think at least on speed figures, this is a horse that, definitely matches up really, really well with these horses here. But as Mark likes to say, this is a horse that doesn't like to get his picture taken. But, going back to when this horse broke its maiden, was going a mile on the turf. I mean, they put this horse straight into, graded stakes company, finished third in that race. And they kept this horse in stakes company for a bit. I think maybe it's just been in a little over his head. And I just wonder if maybe this field is just a little bit softer than what he's been going up against. So I thought the 3 Miracle Mark made a bunch of sense here. I think he's going to kind of be just tracking this pace. And Timeform's got this coded as kind of a fast pace, which I think helps both the 1 and the 3, I think, a bit in this spot. So those are my 2 picks in the main body of the field. I'm a little interested in the 13 if he gets in. But I'll pass it over to Miracle Mark. Where did you land here?
Shockingly, I did not land on Miracle Mark because I wish I'd seen the name because I would have made some dumb case for how I could get to that horse. But no, I think Suchet makes a lot of sense in this race. Again, just getting through Lasix for the first time, again, a lot of times that will move horses forward. And I do think if the horse fires back to some of those, that St. Cloud or the Chantilly race, would be is going to be a major player in here. I know we really haven't talked about the favorite. I don't think there's a lot of, it's hard to beat up on the favorite who is won his first 2 races, has a ton of early speed. Seems like a horse Josh would like actually. But has been first in every call in both of his first 2 races. I don't know if they didn't know what they had here with this one, but it seems to be a horse that it makes a ton of sense in here. I really can't beat up the 6 in here at all, and would not be a shocker at a somewhat short price. And the other horse I want a little piece of, more of a B type for me, is the 11 horse Kansas Cat. This is a horse that's new into the Dan Blacker barn, coming out of Lester Barbazan's barn, who is basically is what I can see a 0% trainer. Hops into the Dan Blacker barn, and Dan Blacker is very, very good with new stock into his barn. And I know Ayuso's had a real cold start to the meet, but he seems to be a go-to for Blacker. They're 21% together over the last year, so I thought the figures were, some of those Tampa figures are, I know, Caleb hates Tampa, but they're not that much too slow to fit in with this field. You're going to get a nice price on this one, just given the connections. And if Blacker moves this one forward even a tiny little bit, I think Kansas Cat is a pretty interesting player in this race at what's probably going to be 12, 15, 18 to 1. So, those are really the only 3 I need in here.
Caleb.
Yeah, so I think we already talked about Suchet, so I can kind of skip over that one. The number 6 Flyover. I play a lot of California racing, and one of my favorite angles is always fading speed horses at Santa Anita coming to Del Mar. They are, despite being both in California, the turf courses play extremely differently. The Del Mar turf course is very difficult to wire. I mean, it's compared to Santa Anita. Generally, your winners are coming from mid-pack or further back, whereas Santa Anita, I mean, speed is always an advantage. Couple that with the fact that I think there is a lot of speed in here. You have a horse, obviously, like Flyover. You have a horse like A Day to Remember. You have Carver. You have even maybe a horse like Rexford might have a little bit of speed on the stretch out. I'm not really interested in anybody that wants to be near the lead in here. So I was looking for closers. I mean, kind of by default, I ended up on the Euro, who I expect to do the closing in this race. Suchet, the number 1. I agree with Mark, and I'm surprised he kind of landed there. But with the 11, Kansas Cat, and I guess he's probably surprised I landed there because it's a Tampa horse. But, this is a horse that has been, in a couple of races that are, I would say, weaker than what he finds here, but is getting into a much better barn. Dan Blacker clearly sees fit to somehow acquire this horse, ship him all the way across the country. And with the Del Mar ship and win incentives, that's always something you have to kind of keep in mind is how are these, that bonus generally is most prominent in their first start. So you really want to make people doing this kind of a program want to win that first race here. So I think Kansas Cat, coming over from Tampa with a better barn switch here, has some good late pace figures, is one that I would want to use. And another horse I want to talk about a little bit is the number 5, Cuban Confusion. You're getting one of the top turf jocks in the country, in the very least, probably the top turf jock in California anyway, with Roberto Rispoli. This horse has kind of burned some money, so I don't love kind of giving him out because I doubt that you actually get 6 to 1. But he is one that projects to get a really nice kind of mid-pack trip here. It should be able to sit off of the speeds and then save some ground and make that big run late. Finally put things together in that maiden race at Santa Anita last time out. I'm hoping that kind of is a light bulb angle with a horse who's had a bit of seconditis and can run back and maybe finally figure out how to win and can put 2 races in a row together. So for me, Cuban Confusion, Sachet, and Kansas Cat are my top 3 choices in here. That's pretty much all I need to get this race.
So you used the horse that took 14 starts to break its maiden.
Only 4 starts in America, but yes.
That's a hell of an asterisk. I get where you're coming from. I thought that horse was a little interesting, and I also thought for a similar angle, somebody like the 9, A Day to Remember, was also somewhat interesting. A horse that did take 4 starts to break his maiden. I realize this is one of your forwardly placed horses that's got a lot of speed, but another one that maybe the light bulb finally went on as well.
Anything else in this race? Anything else on this weekend's racing? Caleb, you firing this weekend?
I will be firing this weekend. I was, like I said, I've been sick for a few like a week or so, and then I had my parents were in town for the last week or so. So me and pops were firing off and on, but also doing other things as well. So yeah, it's just me and the dog this weekend. So I'll be firing.
Mark.
I will be on track Friday and Saturday at Saratoga. Hopefully the weather holds off tomorrow. Chance of thunderstorms late, so we'll see what the weather brings. It is disgustingly humid right here, right now, which is just ugh. But hopefully the weather holds. And yeah, I'll definitely be firing away. Probably a couple pick five sequences I like. I haven't finished capping Saturday yet, but been doing well in the horse tourney tournaments, so I will probably continue to hop into those.
Nice. And that's going to do it for us here on The Wrong Lead. Check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. I am at Cherry Drank. Mark is at Two Turns. Caleb at Caleb WVU. We will have an episode of Drinking Champagne out sometime tomorrow morning. We're going to cover the late pick 4 at Saratoga on Saturday. And then tomorrow night, we should also have an episode of The Get Out. We'll talk about Sunday's late pick 3 at Del Mar. Help you get out when we completely are wrong about this Del Mar late pick 5, and you're looking to lick your wounds a little bit. But yeah, we should have some more content coming out. Mark, I know you've been posting some stuff when you're on track as well, so you obviously stay subscribed to YouTube, hit all the buttons. Make sure you check out our friends at DRF. Check out their chat bot at chat.drf.com. Have a good weekend, everybody. Let's make some money.